All right, welcome back to Talking Transitions. Today's guest is ex-professional footballer who's now set up his own business, Kyzen Sports, to help footballers with the finances and taxes. So, Jack, give us a bit of background on you. As a young lad from Liverpool, what was your dreams and aspirations?
Always wanted to be a footballer. We've all known each other from, I think I've met you under 8, under 9. So we've all always played football. And even though I've set up this business, I still sort of see myself as that player, even though I've retired and had an injury. But coming through school, always wanted to play football. Obviously fulfilled that dream in some capacity. But I think where I slightly differ is I always had like an education in my background. So one of the cooks, I can remember my dad's quite strict and my mum, to be fair, but I remember having a conversation that was Ronnie Moore, the gaffer at Tranmere, wanted to sign a first year prop. My dad wouldn't let me sign it unless I got my A-levels. So I don't know whether it's just like, as a footballer, I've had it sort of as my priority, always wanted to do that. But obviously my education was important when I was in school, and even when I left school and was at Tranmere, I still continued them studies.
Yeah, I think when you said there, you was a bit different in that way. Because me, when I was growing up in my school, like my school was pretty pointless really. I don't think anyone in my school learnt much. I was just focused on just becoming a footballer, and even though my mum and dad obviously wanted the best for me and all that, they never really pushed certain things like education and all that.
Yeah.
And with you saying there, your dad said you're not going to sign a contract until you pass your exams.
I just think he knew, he knew I was going to play. He knew in some capacity I was going to play football, and whether you have a career or not, but he knew I was going to, you've got to try and do it. You don't have any regrets not doing it, but the chances of actually making a living that will see you for the rest of your life there's so many different factors around it, whether it's ability, managers, someone not liking your injury, whatever it might be. So I think he just wants to take that aspect of chance away from it, in terms of if you get them qualifications, if the worst happens, you'll be able to go to university or do something with a different career path. And to be honest with you, I don't know whether you both sort of felt this. It gave me I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but when I was playing, when you sort of come towards the end of that contract,
like a cushion, a reassurance.
Yeah, like a parachute, where I didn't feel the pressure quite as much. Once I'd got them qualifications in place, I knew if I didn't get a new deal, or I knew if I retired at whatever age, I knew I'd be able to move on to something else. And actually, probably the best stages of my career were when I'd set Kyzen Sports up, because I knew when I hit 35, I didn't get 35.
Yeah.
When I got to that point when I was looking to retire, I had something there, so that the pressure of playing just become playing out of enjoyment, if you like.
Yeah, and I've spoken about this before, but football managers they did have back in the day, like a bit of
focus on one thing.
Yeah, a bit of hatred or negativity towards having a dual career, and just wanting the players to focus just on football and not have anything on the side. But I've noticed as well with certain players who have got something on the side that they have got a bit of weight lift off their shoulders, and it helps them perform better on the pitch.
Well, when I started this, a little bit about my story was as I said, I had to get my qualifications when I was at Tranmere, got leased from Tranmere, and signed for Barrow. And that was like the first time when I know almost like I was sort of coming through at Tranmere in League One, doing well at the time, but had some big players in the team. And I just in my head, I'm going to play in the Premier League at 17, 18, because we come through at we were under 16 before you go to Scholar. So from sort of 16 to 18, there was no sort of thought other than, I'll get my qualifications, but I'm going to have a career in football. When I went to Barrow, that was like being dropped in the reality of non-league football. You're in a men's changing room properly for the first time. There's pressure to win because
money.
Yeah, people rely on the salary.
You need the win bonus.
Yeah, need the win bonuses. You need to stay in the league. But it did. That was the first point when I thought, well, there is a chance I'm not going to be able to have a career in this game. So started my qualifications, but later in my career, signed for Grimsby. And as much as I loved Grimsby, loved the club, the fans were actually brilliant. I loved being there. I had good times there, got promoted there. I was just studying every night, a couple of hours every night, and quite quickly got through my qualifications. But where I was sort of leading on to was I'd left Grimsby and signed for Tranmere, and the contract they offered me, it was Sean Garnett and Brabs. And did you have Brabs?
No, I didn't have Brabs, no.
I think they knew my position. They knew I was playing in Grimsby, sat in the stand, wanting to come back to Liverpool. Yeah. The contract they offered me was just like, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. I just took the deal to get back to Liverpool. but needed the money, so ended up working in an accountancy office. But it's sort of, I wouldn't change that now because the way it's played out ended me leaving me in this position. But
so you was playing professionally at Somnia, but was still at the start, job on the side as well, working.
I was doing it for free.
Yeah.
So I had my qualification, but I just, in my head, I was thinking, if I don't go and have a CV with like something on it, I'll struggle. So I just wanted that last bit of the jigsaw to go, like, at least I've got a qualification and some experience, there'll be something there for me. And I felt like I had a good story. So if I went in for an interview, I've always been good at finance. It's always been something I'd say I was good at. So, I was working, but didn't tell. Didn't tell, well, the lads knew, but didn't tell like the gaffer. So I can remember like going like on a Wednesday, planning to get changed, put a suit on to go into an office. But the gaffer's gone, right, if you didn't play Tuesday night, double session. And I'm like going, I'm meant to be in work almost. And it wasn't anything too strenuous. I don't think it actually affected. Sometimes, to be honest with you, you're just getting so wrapped up in football that actually having something else allow me to switch off from it and relax almost. You know what I mean? If you had a bad game, had a bad session, you take it all home with you. Actually going into that office at times actually give me something else to sort of be interested in. But
also, football's a different world to the real world. So being in an office, I guess it's probably like a stark contrast. How did you adapt to that? Because I mean, football banter is totally different to office banter. You can't say certain things.
You can't take football banter into the office.
Well, Well, it's hard because, do you know what? I want our office we work with footballers, so I don't want it to be a normal office. You know what I mean? I want to feel a footballer, feel comfortable. But there's a line which to start with was difficult. You know, it's like in a changing room. But I feel like at times now that we've got 30 members of staff, it's something I've had to learn when I'm distancing myself from our team, if you like, in terms of someone will walk in with a bad jumper, and if you do that in a changing room.
Are you saying that because I've got this?
I think he was looking at your pants, to be honest.
I like the pants, to be honest.
But no, as I said, it's I think everything I've learned from football, I'd want to be in our office. I'd want it to be like a team environment, and picky with me recruitment. I like the people in our team to be football people. Working with footballers every day.
Do you feel like like the social skills that you require to be in a changing room, as you say, it's quite dog-eat-dog a little bit. Do you feel like that's helped you as a boss? Obviously, you just said you've got 30 employees. Do you feel like that? Because no one has experience of having 30 employees before they do.
No. So I've made mistakes. I'm still making mistakes.
Yeah, but do you feel like the skills that you learned in football has helped
you? Do you think
as
a footballer you grow up quick? So like we've got like apprentices working for us who are 18, 19. I look at them and still almost look at them as a baby. Yeah. But we've all sort of had to walk into a changing room, walk out in front of 50, 60,000 people at 18, look at pictures. You sort of grow up quick. But I just think that working as a team has probably been the best thing that I've had. I think, I don't know, I just think probably the one thing I'd say the staff all do is I think we've all got a good relationship, like what you do in a changing room. You all work together, you're all part of a team. And I think that has been sort of replicated where we are. And I don't know whether if you had one of the staff sat here, they'd say the same thing, but I'd actually be interested to know what they'd think, actually.
Should have brought them on.
Don't do that. No, actually, probably wouldn't be about that.
Yeah, but you was working for free, basically, when you was obviously still playing professional football at Somnia. Yeah. Did something ever happen in your career with your taxes to make you want to go and work?
It was right in the middle of that, funny enough. So I always say things happen for a reason, and without going too much detail, what happened to me was I was staying in club accommodation. The club were paying for it. My agent had a fee for doing the deal from, I think it was Macclesfield.
An agency fee.
An agency fee. And obviously, at the time, I did not understand rules on. Yeah. No one ever tells you. No one, when you sign a deal, will go.
You don't even look at it, do you?
You just made up to sign your new deal and see that.
You just look what
you're going to earn.
Yeah, exactly.
And
until you get the letter through your door.
You get your brown envelope through the door. Yeah, and I was buying a house with my partner at the time. Just about to buy the house, took this salary cut, and then got the brown envelope through the door. And I'm tax bill, massive tax bill. No idea where it's coming from, what to do. And coincidentally, I'm sort of going through that learning curve in an accountancy office at the time. So the owner of the company helped me structure my tax affairs. And just my experiences from that, not understanding it. I left it for it. I buried my head in the sand for ages with it. Left the letter. I was then late. Got penalties, interest. He helped the owner of that company helped me deal with it. And what actually happened was a lot of the Tranmere players at the time started then asking, knew I was working in an accountancy office and with them every day, asked me to deal with their tax problems then. And I think them experiences of, as you said, that brown envelope's the one you open the door after training and there's that letter on the floor and you know straight away.
You just know.
You get that feeling in your stomach.
It's never good, is it, that brown letter?
Well,
never get any.
To be honest, I mean, I don't know if I didn't earn enough, but I've only had a good one. I've only ever had a good one.
No, it's never good if it's random, but obviously we're going to get onto you helping players.
And exactly that. If it's random, it causes stress.
Yeah.
And I was going to train every day, mate, panicking about it, not sleeping properly because I knew I was putting a deposit down on a house. If you understand it and know it's coming, you can begin to get your head around it. And actually, I always say this to our players who come into a tax bill isn't always a bad scenario. A tax bill can mean an increased salary, a bigger agent fee, you've had more bonuses. So let's talk about you for a sec. I don't know what your contract is, but if you've got a tax bill, it's likely because you've come back from an injury, played more games than you anticipate and earned more money. So you'd rather have the tax bill and earn more money. Well, but if you don't understand it, that's where it causes the stress.
On me, the first year I signed for Doncaster, I had agency fees and I got done with a bill, which was 2 years in 1 year, ultimately.
Okay.
And then that was when I first looked at it. Before that, it was always fine. But I got done with 2 years in one. And then that's what made
agent fees had gone into
1 year.
Yeah.
Which I looked and thought that's a bit more than usual, but then I realised it was 2 in 1.
Yeah.
But then after that, I signed my contract with Doncaster by myself with no agents.
Okay.
So I had no agency fees going on to me as a P11D.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a P11D for the last few years. And I think obviously me getting that bill, no offense to me agents or anything like that, but me getting that bill and my relationship I had with Doncaster and how mature I was, I could go and have a conversation with Doncaster and organise and sort of deal myself without having an agent, and then ultimately that stopped me from getting agency fees as well on me tax.
It depends, doesn't it? Because everyone's different. Certain players feel comfortable doing that, certain players don't. I think as you get more and more experienced as a player, you potentially might be comfortable, but there's things within a contract that I wouldn't fancy trying to negotiate. If I was just potentially moving to a bigger club, bit more money, I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah.
But from my point of view, I would have an agent, and I would recommend the majority of players to have an agent, as long as you understand that at some point you've got to pay the tax on the agent fee. But if you plan for it, and like we've just been discussing there, what we try and do, if we were working with your agent, for argument's sake, I just want your agent to go, John signed a new deal, there's his playing contract, plan his tax affairs accordingly for me, and then you get a call from one of my team to go, John, your options are you can pay X amount more tax each month, or you can have that tax bill at the end of the year. But because you're doing a pension contribution, because the amount of travel that you're doing, you'll be neutral at the end of the year, but you know what's going on. But makes it dead easy for the agent, dead easy for the player. Let our team sort of do the work in the background and produce what you need to know at the end of it.
With you're saying there about not feeling comfortable to go into a club and talk about contact yourself. When I was must have been 19, I was at Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
And I had an agent, and I'd done well at Shrewsbury my first couple of years. And you could go to Scotland on a free.
Yeah.
Because under 23 or 24, you have to pay a fee, but you could go to Scotland on a free. So my agent at the time had organised like a deal for me to go over to Scotland. I think it was Motherwell and Inverness, I think it was. And the money that they would offer me was obviously a lot more than what I was on.
Yeah.
And I'd made the decision to go. Like, my agent was telling me to do it. I was going. I went in to see the chairman at Shrewsbury, who we had a great relationship with, and if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be playing football still to this day now. I went in to say thank you very much and all that, but I made my decision.
Yeah.
And in the end, he's got me in his office, and we're just talking. The agent's downstairs in the car park. He's waiting for me to obviously shake hands and go down and go to Scotland. And I'm sitting there in the office with the chairman. He's going, John, do you want to leave? And I was like, not really, no. And he was like, well, why don't you stay? I was like, well, I'm getting told to go there. Obviously, it's a lot more money and all that.
Yeah.
He was like, he opened the curtains, and it was just facing the stadium, the pitch and all that. And he was like, do you want to leave that? And I was like, no, I love it here. And he was like, what do you want? And I was sitting there, 18, 19-year-old lad, not having a clue what anyone else is on in the first team. And I was like, I don't know. The secretary was there, Jane. Do you remember it? And she was like, go on, John, just tell me what you want. And I was like, oh, Mr. Chairman, I can't do that. And he was like, write it down. And so I wrote it down, a number, yeah. And he went, not a chance, you're getting that, John. I was like, well, what will you give me? And he went, I'll give you this. And I was like, go ahead, I'll sign that then. And it was like,
well, no, your agent was downstairs.
Well, he was downstairs, signed me deal.
Done
me deal. Then next minute, the agent at the time ringing me dad, I want money from this, I was getting this from the teams in Scotland. His dad went, shut up, mate, put the phone down on him. And then happily stayed at Shrewsbury, and the best decision he ever made. But yeah, I weren't a good...
I don't know who that agent is, mate.
I don't know if he's still going on, he was pony. But I was... the point being is, I was an awful negotiator. But at the end of the day, my heart wanted to stay at Shrewsbury, and I was made up with it.
No, well, do you know, I was going to say, because I see so much work, whether it's financial advice, accountancy work, agency work, and that's why players, and I was naive. I'm not saying, like, and I'm sure you too, I'm not saying players are footballers, do you know what I mean? That's what they're good at, but it's so important you get the right people around you, because that there sounds to me as if your agent's pushing you to Scotland because he was getting his agency fee. So,
in your experience then, Jack, obviously dealing with a lot of agents, how would you decide what the right person is? Because obviously
it's impossible to decide.
You can only let it pan out.
Yeah, John's agent, John might suit a different agent to me. You might. Yeah. I was sort of with my agent majority. I met him quite early. I was with my agent majority of the time. I just felt like I could trust him, and he actually believed in me. So therefore, that Scotland deal didn't come around for me. I think he'd have actually just wanted to buy this time, because I was when I was sort of playing League Two, probably 19, 20, getting a little bit of interest. There was a couple of sort of sniffs from Championship clubs. He never sort of approached me with a Scotland income. Whether it didn't move, whether it didn't come, or whether your agent was pushing it. That sounds to me a little bit like he was trying to get.
Oh, 100%.
And we see that with financial advice, mate. We see players where they don't know what they're paying financial advisors. They don't know why they're doing it, and it's just to sort of get a fit. And that's where I think footballers are naive, and they get the wool pulled over their eyes. And the reason sort of why I sit here, and a lot of the reasons why we do educational videos and go into these clubs, is to help the player understand what they need to look out for. Yeah. But I had a similar one to it when I signed for Bury. I can remember going in and you're sort of waiting in the manager's office, and you just
sweaty palms, isn't
I've actually had some weird ones. Actually thinking about it, I've got a great one. Actually, I'll tell you in a sec. I didn't sign for the club because of this. It made me go all funny. I'll tell you now. Let me just tell you this one.
I'm excited, yeah.
Sorry, this one's not as interesting. But sat with the waiting for the gaffer in his room. Sat with, like as you said, the secretary. Gaffer comes in and goes, "How long's your agent gonna be?" And I'm going, I don't know. I'll ring him. And he went, "Well, we just had a chat. We're not gonna pay any agent fees, so he can't really come in." And I'm going like he said, 21, 22. What salary do you want? And I'm going, I've got no idea what sort of salary. Anyway, I had to do it without my agent. I can remember walking in the change sort of 2-3 weeks later, and like, you know, you start putting together like what lads are in it, and you've just gone, oh my god, I've massively undersold myself here. But yeah, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. That's why I'm saying that was one of the main reasons for me why I would like an agent. Yeah. And I would have paid the tax on that agency fee. But this is probably a little bit off subject. I had one where I was signing for a club, and it was miles away, and it was just out the blue. I think I was out of contract, and I've just got a phone call that night. Come down tomorrow morning. So next morning, me and Mrs. drove down, and she's sort of sat in the car park, and I've gone in to talk to the gaffer, and he's gone, "If you come down with," and I've gone, "Oh, Mrs. in the car, but she'll be all right. Like, just go and get a coffee or something. She'll be all right. No, bring her up." And I'm going, "I don't really want my missus in here. Like, don't really fancy that." No, he like insisted.
Thought he was Fergie, did he?
Insisted. And I'm going, no. Anyway, he's brought her up. And the memory I've got is he's got a tactics board to me missus and going like, what I want him doing? He's coming off his shape. And I can remember thinking like, oh my God, he's talking tactics to me missus here. And that, you know, like you've made your mind up there, and then you're going like, no.
Who was it then?
I'm not saying it.
Why not? You're not in footy anymore. Come on, spill the beans.
He's still in footy. I'm not saying who. He's a client. I'm not saying who.
No.
I'm not saying who.
Is he still a manager now?
No, somewhere else.
Oh, not surprised. Go through tactics with your
I
missus.
knew you warming that question up there.
I mean, if any manager was going through tactics with my wife, Ellie, fucking hell.
I can just remember looking like.
I don't even think she knows what position I play, to be honest. She hasn't got a clue about footy, but
Is that because you haven't played for so long?
yeah, maybe, yeah, but nah, she's never been. She watches me and like she'll go to a game, and she's not asked about the game.
No,
She just wants to watch me. She doesn't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Whether I'm doing good or bad, but yeah, she doesn't have a clue. I don't think I'd change it, to be honest. Means don't get any. At least she doesn't go through tactics with me after the game.
yeah.
I start saying, John, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you go inside, John? Get the ball.
No,
I made up. I don't have that, to be honest.
No.
So you know when you was at Tranmere,
Yeah.
and you said that some of the lads started like realizing that you was going to work away from there.
Yeah.
Was that where you kind of made that transition to start committing a bit more time to Kyzen?
At that time, mate, to be honest with you, it was just sort of a case of I just wanted to start putting something in place for after playing. I was still relatively young, and it was just sort of fell on my lap, if you like. I knew I wanted to go into finance in some capacity and accountancy in some capacity, but didn't actually really know what that looked like. As I said, it sort of fell nicely for me where I was working in an accountancy office. I had a tax problem myself, and then players started coming to me. And what was actually happening, if I'm honest, I was taking players into this accountancy office in the city centre. The director's giving it back to me to work on, and I'm thinking, you're getting paid to do this. So then it just sort of unravelled that, and I was actually better at dealing with the player than what he was, because I could put myself in the player's shoes and put myself in their position. So I just started it on my own from that point onwards. And the other director, George, who he's the accountant in this scenario, if you like. I can remember saying to him, mate, we've got a massive opportunity here. There's players just don't understand this. It's not something that a lot of players, there's a lot of talk about planning for life after playing and financial planning, which is huge. But I feel as though there's not any talk of tax and tax affairs. And there's a couple of stories I can tell you where it's the start of, if you get your tax affairs correct, it's the start of financial health. Your tax is your biggest outgoing, so get that right first. And we had the discussion about him coming with me to do it, and we both agreed from that point on there was a massive gap in the market to go and do it, and we were right. It just sort of snowballed from then. And actually, another question was, did I spend more time with Kyzen? Yes, naturally, but it was just sort of as a break from football. I still love me football, and it was my priority. My last year at Wrexham, I actually made the decision. I would have been 27, 28, where this has progressed that much now, where I'm going to go and do that because I enjoy doing it. It's a living for me after playing. It's progressed into a lot more now.
So did you make the decision at 27, 28 to leave full-time football, just go straight to the Kyzen?
So I was at Wrexham, and I just had one of them years, mate, where I just couldn't get fit. I just had hamstring. I just could not get fit, and it's hard, mate, because like we've just been discussing, football is just your life, and you take it away from the pitch as well. Dean Keats was the gaffer, and he offered me a new. He was basically went to knock on his door and went, "I've not played all year. I've come from Bury. Am I going to start looking for a club?" And he was great. He was like, "No, listen, like you're around the club. You've just had a bad year. I'll offer you a new deal." But then went to Walsall. Sam Ricketts come in and asked me to go back in pre-season, and I went back in the pre-season, and I just, to be honest, I just thought, now's the time. And you're like sort of on trial at a conference club, non-league club, which Wrexham's a massive club, but I just it felt right, so didn't actually sign anywhere. And Paul Carden rang me midway through pre-season, and it just fitted. And like I said, for me, I've been so lucky where it just fell nicely for me. Part-time football, local, still at making an income, and it allowed me to then start building this full-time.
And it makes the transition go smoother as well, doesn't it? Because you still got the love of football, still playing it. You're still getting paid from playing part-time football, but then gives you the time and freedom to set up Kyzen as well.
Well, Warrington, actually, like you've just said there, I haven't officially hung my boots up, so if there is anyone looking for a record, I did my ACL in April 22, and me up in September 2022, and I struggled to start with. And I don't know what players do if they haven't got anything else. So I always say these sorts of messages, get something ready whilst you're playing. But when I was actually playing for Warrington, because I knew I then had a successful business, I just enjoy football.
Yeah.
So as you said, I haven't had to completely cut football off and stop playing, but it still give me that fix, if you like. You still give me that adrenaline rush. You're still in a changing room. You still got that winning mentality. You've still got that competitiveness throughout the season. And then it's sort of, as I said, I did my ACL last year, but I just feel as though it fitted perfect. I still had football and I had my business. So Warrington was only what? I don't even know what the level is. What's the league?
The one below the National League is the
National League
Evo Stick
North,
at the time, wasn't it?
Evo Stick, yeah. That was the lowest level I played at, but probably would say it was probably my best time in football because I enjoyed it for what it was. Loved going to away games, loved playing, and I didn't have that stress of what am I going to do when I stop playing.
Yeah. Well, I can speak about me now because obviously I've had a tough 2.5 years with injuries.
Yeah.
And I went through a tough time where I was worried about what I'm going to do after football because I've done 7 operations in 2.5 years. It's not great, and you do have bad thoughts about what's going to happen. How are you going to pay the bills? Have you still got a mortgage and all to pay? What I'm going to go into? So that did scare me. So I started doing loads of courses and all that myself.
Yeah.
I haven't got anything concrete to fall back on if I do. Being offered something if I have to stop playing football. But what you said before about having the love for football and the competitiveness and all that, like I've just got back training and all that now with the lads.
Yeah.
And I'm loving every single minute of it. And what I said to Ellie, my wife, was I come back from training the other day and just said I'm just enjoying like
just
the competition again, like just training with the lads, competing, like the small side of the games and all that. And like fingers crossed, touch wood, I don't have to stop playing football because I would miss it because I'm loving playing football again and all that. So
I asked you when I first walked in, are you missing it? And to be honest with you, because I've got a goal now and a target and something to sort of really drive for, I haven't missed it. But there is times when Saturday mornings I'll find myself sort of going,
what now?
What am I meant to be doing here? I feel like I'm comfortable. I do miss it, but
I think you'll always have that. When I say I don't miss it, it's not like I'm like, depressed about it or anything like that, or I'm feeling down when the Saturday does come.
Yeah, no, I get.
Don't get me wrong, you will feel little things. You're right, playing a match and doing well. Obviously, you're not going to get that feeling again. So the types of things that you do miss.
But I think I get them highs from Kyzen though. So when something happens within the business, whatever it might be, listen, you're not going to be able to replace that ecstasy that you get when you score a goal or something like that. But I have found something else where I can direct me thoughts and me attention to. But yeah, of course, you're always going to get that. But it's funny now being on this side of the fence. I had a player this morning, and my staff can't get their head around this at times. So we're obviously trying to help players with the tax affairs, with the financial planning, with whatever it might be. And a player will have a hamstring injury, and it's like the world's ended. And I'm sort of saying to our accountants, like, just give them a couple of days because their world just ended for that small period. Now that I've been on this side of the fence, where you're sort of looking back, I'm like, why did I not enjoy that more than what I did? Why did I stress about a hernia operation, or why did I stress about hamstring or not playing well? Should have just enjoyed it more.
Might have been to do with the fact that the contracts aren't that big when you're in the lower leagues. So
we spoke about this on Sunday before today. When you sort of coming to your contract's coming to an end, you start panicking.
Do you think that's the footballer's biggest fear, going to the summer without a contract?
100%. And like I've been dead in it for obviously the last year and a half, knowing that I've been injured and all that, and I'm going to be coming to that this summer, and I'm going to be out of contract and all that. But going back to it, like I feel like weight's being lifted off my shoulders without even having anything sorted, just because I've been injured for this long now. So I've kind of had the worst times. So the weight's lifted off my shoulders. I've actually been enjoying just being back around the lads, training and all that, and whatever happens now because I won't struggle as much as what I have done these last 2 years. Definitely not. So my weight's already been lifted off my shoulders.
But you having that ability to be able to say, this pre-season, I'm done. Do you know what I mean? I've got something there, like that kind of, as a footballer. You take contracts that you don't want if you haven't got that. You know what I mean? So,
exactly. So the ability to go, that doesn't suit me, actually helps you on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? So like one of the major things in football is confidence. And if you're coming towards the end of the contract, you're in sort of Feb, you're not playing, you come on the pitch and you're sort of desperately trying to do something on the pitch to earn that next deal. To actually leave that pitch and be able to go, not that it doesn't matter, because it does, but to be able to go, I'm just going to take it game by game, because I don't need that next deal. If that makes sense.
But that's because of finances, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's
yeah,
down to
well,
finance.
What I mean is I had income from somewhere
Yeah,
else,
that's what I'm saying,
so
yeah.
therefore it just allowed me to go into the next game and just play my game, and that was what I need. I just need to play the next game, and your ability eventually comes through, and it always ends up all right. But the stress and anxiety that comes from not having that next contract or not knowing where your next deal's coming from, it's hard, and it's sort of like, I don't know, makes you stressed off the pitch. But as I said, probably my best time was when I had that security.
It's the security that you got behind you. I would agree. Mine was probably when I was playing in National League North, and I had that security of my other businesses. Away from that, I could take contracts that suited me a little bit more. And then you play with a bit more freedom.
Because you'd also, like, at the end of the year, if you've had a good year, you'd also start like going like, well, I'm say for example at Macclesfield, I'm on X amount of money a week, I've done well this year. You start like thinking, well, I might be able to get an extra £100 a week, £200 a week. And actually, mate, there's like a price to your happiness of like being local or being at a club that suits you and your family. But again, like you said, if you've got that ability to go, well, I'm just going to stay at Macclesfield, I'm going to enjoy it here. Macclesfield was probably one of my favourite clubs to play for, and I moved away 3 or 4 times to progress my career. And perhaps if I'd have had a qualification, a job security at the end of it, I'd have just stayed at Macclesfield, enjoyed my time there, and actually not look to sort of move on, if that makes sense.
So from your experiences, would you definitely recommend players to start having a dual career or start learning something anyway?
Yeah, 100%. And like you said before, John, clubs might frown on it, but actually I think helps you on the pitch. I'd start right at the beginning. If I had more sort of connections within the game to change the way it is, and I'm trying, I would want 16-year-olds when they come through the academies to be put in a position where their qualifications actually allows them to go to do something after football.
Well, go on to it. You're starting to do it anyway, aren't you? You're starting to do workshops.
Yeah. So we do. Well, there's a couple of things going on that I've sort of tried to implement. So the first one was the workshops in football clubs. So that's just purely based on tax affairs. So I genuinely don't think there's anyone else in the country that does it better than us. When I stand up at the front of a group of players, listen, it's hard to get them to engage about tax. You know what it's like. It goes on the board after training, tax seminar, and you're going, I've just trained, I want to go home.
Do you use your football background first to get them involved?
Do you know, one of the best ones we did was Leighton Orient, because what happened is I'm doing the workshop and I'd literally just started, and Richie Wellens is the manager, and he come in and I'm doing the workshop in a suit, and he just started taking a piss. He's a legend, Richie. Yeah, you know, he picked me up. He's like, come behind me and pick me up. And like, are you looking well? And I had a green jumper on, and he went to me, looking well, dressed well, great teeth match your jumper. But straight away, the lads must have just gone.
He knows the gaffer.
He knows the gaffer. And then he introduced me, like, listen, I played and listen to what he says. I only keep it short and sweet, the workshop, but the lads just straight away engaged. You felt the room sort of engage with the conversation. But we do our workshops just to help players understand the world of tax, and I understand what they need to know and what they don't need to know. And listen, I don't want players to fully understand tax. Let us do it, or a specialist do it. But I want them to be aware of the world of tax and what they need to know. They need to pay tax and agent fees. They need to know certain things. We're trying at the minute to get into contact with football clubs and the PFA. I want like within the Northwest right now to offer a career path for footballers. So, like I've just said, I can teach tax, I can teach finance, I can teach how to deal with a player, but I can't teach you to be able to relate to a player. So if I can have a young player who's been released from Liverpool, his career looks like it's obviously not progressed as he wanted to, I'm saying to the PFA, send them to me if they want to do finance. There's qualifications there's a career path, and it'll work for both because they'll enjoy it as well. They're working with footballers.
So someone could come and work for you and get a qualification from working for you?
Working for us, qualifications, salary, working with footballers. And then if they wanted, they can then, like we were saying about Warrington, that sort of level, they want to progress through the non-league avenue. If they then get an offer where, I don't know, Tranmere come in, there'd be no other company.
They're not stuck in hard to a contract with you. They can just go and play.
No, but listen, I'd understand. I'd want them to go and do that. Yeah, listen, I'd be disappointed that a good member of staff had left. But the goal here isn't actually to. Well, the goal is to help a young player. I want good staff, but equally that'll just come back to me anyway. But
surely the PFA will be on board with that and want that to happen, because, like you said, you're trying to help footballers and you're giving them a chance to learn and get a qualification, so why would they not?
I don't know.
Oh, so have you
complex, isn't
have
it?
you
It's
had
complex.
conversations with the PFA to? I don't get why they wouldn't want
I've
that.
tried to have conversations with the PFA, and
Is it I'll pass it on to someone else, and then
I just
you know.
whether I've not been into contact with the right person, or maybe because if they do it for me, they've got to do it for somebody else. But I'll do this all myself. I just need to be in front of the right person. What I'm saying is, literally give me the contact details for the right person at Liverpool, the right person at Everton, the right person at City, and just make them aware of us.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, we do a lot of work with Everton, and they actually are very, very good. And I think they want their players to come through that part, that sort of, if they don't get that.
Well, there's how many players in the youth team? 20 odd players. How many get?
Well,
a contact?
let's be honest. Probably one player in that youth team.
I think
they're looking to go into the first team. So the other 16, 17 are just there to allow that player to play matches and
then all they've done is play football. And then what do they go into when they get released at 18 years old?
Labouring, I did it.
Well, what we do doesn't suit everybody, but there will be someone who like me.
A clever cook like you.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to say that, but
Do you know what you're saying? I think it's really important that the 16-year-olds do get some sort of guidance to be like, right, well, what do you actually like? I mean, obviously, you're quite lucky where you've had that upbringing where you knew that you liked finance.
I knew I was going to go into
exactly.
Kid,
but like, I know that there's people out there who are maybe creative or who might be into, obviously, you see a lot of footballers doing rap, like Memphis Depay, like he's a musician as well. So like, how do you know what you like as a footballer?
Well, it's because you can't tell someone that you can't ask someone. A player won't be able to tell you what they want to do after football because they want to play football. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you ask a doctor what do you want to do, they'll go, I want to be a doctor. Well, what do you want to do if that doesn't work? It's hard to actually answer that question.
Yeah.
But
like I want my nephews up all the time. They're only young. And I say to them, what do you want to do when you're older and all that? It's obviously just a footballer.
Yeah.
Obviously, not many young kids are gonna
no one's gonna say they want to be an accountant when they grow up. But
no one wants to be the next Jack Mackreth, do they?
Not well, I don't know.
Well, they will do soon.
Well, I see a lot of players, mate. I'd rather be in my position than a lot of my ex-teammates, and that's just being dead open honest. I'd rather be in my position than a lot of my ex-teammates. But
do you think it's a duty, like, so people get into 32 and
we touched on the PFA then, and that's what they say they do. And to be honest with you, we talked on Sunday about this, and I think they do need to do more because when I did stop playing, I did have this sort of growing, and it wasn't at a stage where I could fully rely on the income. So I reached out to the PFA a number of times, and I'll be honest, didn't get enough back for me. I didn't feel like I got enough back. But what I would say is, I think they are changing it. They are. I think they're trying to put ex-players in positions where they can change it. So let's say, for example, they put us three within the PFA because we've had that hard time where you're going like, I need help. I would genuinely try and help someone. I think now I wouldn't want a player who's had not a failed career, but not hit the height that they needed to not work again. I'd want to help them, and that's essentially why I'm doing this. I spend a lot of time reaching out to agents, players, clubs, saying, "Let's take me up on my offer."
Well, I think that does come down to you being a genuine, nice person to want to help because that's what you want to do. I think people either have that in them or they don't. And
I just think that it'll come round as well.
Yeah.
I don't do it to help me, but I just think that it will.
It will come back to you.
I believe I've got a room full of players who've lived and breathed football, who are qualified accountants. My business will be successful. Right now, it takes a lot of my time, but if we've got a room full of 50 to 100 accountants that I've helped have a career after playing, great. And if it helps my business, great. So no one actually comes out of that equation badly, if you like.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Blythe House, financial advisors for high net worth individuals and business owners. If you're looking for advice in pensions, investments, mortgages, inheritance tax planning, life cover, business loans, and asset finance, then Blythe House has the expertise for you. Head over to the show notes on whatever platform you're listening to this on to find out more. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and follow the page. Thank you. Just touching on the PFA and what you said about some of the things that they're doing in the background and stuff. Obviously, I think we're all the same age, aren't we? So
we think we all actually come from
some look a bit older than others.
I reckon I look the oldest.
I've got a kid. I've got a kid, so if it's me, that's my excuse.
I'm struggling.
I reckon you look the youngest. You're still in football.
It's fake hairline. Transplant done wonders for me. When I was 18, 19, I looked about 29, so I'm actually looking younger.
In
In fact,
Botox
here's
should be
one for
flying.
you. My wife actually said to me the other day, she showed me a picture of us when I was an oldie, and I must have jumped in the sea and then got out, and we had a picture took. I said, thank God you got that transplant. I was like, fucking on my phone.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been there then, would she?
Oh yeah, she would have fucked me off by now.
No, but just obviously talking about the PFA, and I think you mentioned it before about pensions and things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, our age group was I think it was the last year, wasn't
The
it?
last year
Yeah.
with the pension
Gutted.
group.
Yeah.
Gutted.
So we got extended.
We
So can you give us a
disagreed
bit of
on this,
context
didn't we?
about that?
Yeah, and bring up that as well.
Go on.
No, you bring it up about your content on it, and then why we disagree on the 35 and 50, 56 now, is it?
Well, you talking about the way you could
way they've
think
structured
the
it.
year above us, you're able to take your pension out, weren't you?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So then our age group means that it's pushed back to 57.
Yeah.
So I actually agree with the concept that you shouldn't take your pension until you're that age, because ultimately you're going to need money there, providing you've got a plan in place that between retirement to 35, because footballers' income's condensed into from 16 to 35. So it doesn't work just to change the rule. I'm not claiming that I could run the PFA. I wouldn't know where to start, but obviously it's easy
Jack
from the
Mackreth
outside.
for the PFA.
That's it. From the outside looking in, for me, they needed to do something along the lines of put a plan in place where they're going to change it in 2030. So the players are who are coming through in 2000. When did we come through? We used to come through
2011, I think, or 2010.
So the players coming,
first professional.
the players coming through in 2020 were educated on their first year YT, so that about planning for life after playing, how much money to keep aside, how to get a budget. So then when they hit that point where it's 35 and they retire, they've got money available for them. So then it doesn't affect them that their pension age is kicked back to 57. Whereas there's players for our age group who haven't had that education, the age has changed and they need that money. So I agree with the concept of moving it, but unless I don't know all the details, but without educating the players, how can you not give them access to that money?
That's providing everyone gets to 35 playing as well, isn't it?
Well,
that's very slim.
Well, me and you didn't.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
I've got a chance.
You've got a chance. Yeah.
I'm holding on to the life like me alarm was. But like on the flip side to that, so my argument is that the hardest thing for footballers is retiring, is transitioning, is finding a new job, is getting a job that pays a decent salary, having a big drop in wage.
Yeah.
So having that money at 35, in my opinion, just helps the transition. It also gives you a bit of money to start up a business, to start up something, start doing something, give it a bit of freedom.
So we both agree that you need money at 35. So get players to plan for it at 16 and not need the pension, because ultimately they'll spend that as well.
Yeah.
So that might work, but they still need advice. They still need educating about it.
Well, that was the thing, someone who I spoke to in the PFA said, well, no, because we've, at 35, you get that money, and then people have just blown it and stuff like that. But then it comes down to the individual again, what you are like as a person, how educated you are, and what your plans are to do with that money as well. So I don't think you can actually...
There's no right or wrong.
Because it depends how you are as a person. Some people might blow it at 57. Some people might blow it at 35. Some people might do well with that money at 35 and make it even more money by your 57.
Everyone's different. A lot of things I've said, I preferred having something in place. I'm not sat here claiming that footballers, you only get one chance at football and you don't want any regret. So you've got to put everything into it, and I did. But everyone's different. People might want to be a labourer. People might want to go into management. It's hard to say, but for me, I think you need to educate, you need a plan in place, and I would like anyone that I speak to say, right, I know what I'm going to go into for life after playing. Genuinely thinks it helps your career as well. Yeah. You enjoy it more. You enjoy actually going into training every day. You're not worried about it. It's an elephant in the room, in the changing room, 100%.
Yeah.
And as I said, I keep saying it, but I genuinely believe your tax affairs are the starting point of that.
Okay, so going on to your tax affairs.
Yeah.
Tell us the biggest horror story that you've took over someone's tax.
So this player might probably know who I'm talking about, but I've spoken to him about it. I can't say his name or the exact figures, but he's comfortable with me using this, and I talk about this during the workshops that we do, and I talk about this for examples that we give. If your tax affairs in order, like I've said at the start of this podcast, you've made your outgoing, but the story I had was when there was a massive drop in salary. We had a player playing for Leicester. People probably try and figure out who this is now. Playing for Leicester, and he's sort of touching on the first team, so pre-season, cup games, So got that big contract, 4-year deal. And he was sort of 3.5 years into that deal when he come to us. So we hadn't dealt with him for the majority of his contract. So he's in the last year of his contract, earning well over 100,000 a year. So when you earn over 100 grand a year, you've got to do a tax return. And he wasn't living at the address that HMRC had for him. So a lot of HMRC systems don't suit a footballer for me, but that's obviously why we're here. But last year his contract, his agent fee over that period was 100,000, 45% taxpayer. So coming towards the end of the contract in the Jan of, let's say 21, it must have been.
I know who it is then. I know
you know
who it
is. Have you got it?
Honest.
He got a 45 grand tax bill plus penalties plus interest. I call it 50,000, and that was in the January. In the July's contract's up. He owes 50 grand to HMRC, and his contract's up now. Signs for a League Two club on 50 grand a year. So he owed a year's salary to HMRC, but didn't know it was coming. Didn't know. No one had talked to him about it. We had to take him through the process, essentially selling his house. But HMRC's system for me doesn't suit a footballer because there's no other industry in the world where PAYE, where your salary can be 30 grand, 300 grand, 50 grand. It's so you can 10 times your salary within 12 months. So what we have set up is a process where we can our process helps you manage that HMRC process. If that player would have been with us when he signed that deal, he'd have knew exactly what his tax bill was going to be 4 years later. So we'd have planned a structure where he was budgeting to keep money aside, ready for that tax bill 4 years later. And as I said, I think if you get that right, I keep saying it's the start of getting your finances right. But he's now probably still paying that tax bill back to HMRC, didn't know anything about it. And that's when I said right at the start, agents hold some sort of responsibility to make sure that the players are getting looked after by the right people.
Yeah, just on that. So how would that work if he owes 50 grand tax bill and then he signed the contract and he's only getting 50 grand for the year? So how does that work? How does he pay that back and how long does he get to pay that back over?
They're quite unforgiving, to be honest with you. I said it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit because normally they want it paid. Well, they normally want it paid on the 31st of Jan. And then if you don't pay it, interest, penalties, they let you set a payment plan up. And it's normally 12 to 18 months, but that doesn't change his scenario.
No, because he's still got bills, so he's still going to be a negative, isn't he?
He's gone from earning 300,000 at 4 and whatever it was. His outgoing to 400,000. He potentially thought he was going to get a new deal. So he's going to have to completely change his lifestyle or not pay the tax bill back. And trying to deal with it was difficult, but for me, that's why.
What happens if you don't pay your tax bill back, by the way?
Just keep getting interest, keep getting penalties, and it just keeps growing and growing, and then it eventually gets to debt collection point.
Oh. So, and then your house will get took off you.
But what we do is we'll work with a 17-year-old player. Let's say at Liverpool, that we'll work with a 17-year-old player, and his affairs are quite straightforward. He'll be earning 20-30 grand a year playing for Liverpool's under 18s. He'll work with one of my team who specialises working with footballers. And it's to start with, I'll just say it's a refund to start with because there's no foreign income, there's no benefit in kind, there's no other income. So he's paid 30 grand a year. He spent, I'm going to make this up, 10 grand on expenses. So therefore, he's paid tax on 30. He should have only paid tax on 20. So he'll get 20% of that 10 grand back. But what my team are trying to do now is slowly start educating that player at 17, 18 what a benefit in kind is. When you sign a new deal, what you need to look out for, when to get in touch with your account. If you start a new business, when to get back in touch, what national insurance is. So when that big contract comes at 21, 22, they've all subtly had an education around them with an accountant who knows what they're doing. So there isn't any unexpected. We talked earlier on about an unexpected tax bill. Yeah. If we can get these young kids to understand it now, we don't make a lot of a young player. It is basically helping them so that when they do go into Liverpool's first team, that's when our business will start profiting from it. But I said, we've built a relationship, built a trust, educated them, and I think that's massive. As I said, if you get a player who goes to Liverpool's first team, plays 2 or 3 games, then ends up at Tranmere.
Yeah.
How do they pay that tax liability? They can't. So they need to be taught at a younger age. And as I said, a lot of clubs are getting behind it. We've got this year just been booked in at Chelsea, Southampton, Brentford, Swansea, Everton are always in with us, Liverpool. So we are sort of getting into these clubs.
Well, you said before about you wanted to get in touch with the PFA to get you in touch with these clubs, but it sounds like you've done it all unbelievable already by yourself. So fair play to you.
We've talked a little about the workshops that we do. I've told you a little about what we do. We go into clubs and we do like workshops on how tax works, what tax for footballers essentially. My first slide on the workshop is how to read the payslip because, well, I know it myself. I've never actually been told how to look at a payslip and determine whether you're paying.
You're just
right
looking at the final figure at the
You
bottom, aren't you?
well, I ask the players, I'll go, what when you get paid, do you look at your payslip? No, what do you look at? And I've done it myself. I'm sure, but what's gone in your bank?
Yeah.
And there's them months where you go like, I've had loads this month.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And it's
But
wrong.
then it's gonna come
yeah,
back.
it's all going to come back at a later date. But yeah, as I said, but that's one of the first things we touch on is just the basics. We were meant to be in Everton today, and that's what they want. Just talk about the basics. Of tax essentially. You made your outcome.
Why aren't clubs educating that though? Why? I mean, it's good for you because they're outsourcing, but why aren't they?
They haven't really got. I don't think they've got a duty of care to do that though, have they? The football clubs are there to.
Well, no, not in the past. Yeah, not in the past, obviously. But think about it. If I don't know, I suppose it might.
You've always got someone at the club.
Yeah.
Who you can go to for help if you need it.
Yeah. I don't think they fully understand.
They're not great themselves.
I don't think they fully. I think they do have a duty of care, mate. I think like an agent and a
club. But a football club hasn't. Like, say, who in a football club would? So at our place, a lower league, we got a football manager, an assistant manager, and then who's the person?
I just think because it's such a big problem in football that they should. So, for example, me, if any of my staff had a problem, I'd want to just genuinely out of the goodness of me, I want to help them.
Yeah.
So, but we do see it with certain clubs where they do. So we were in at Wickham at the end of last month, and they genuinely care. Well, not that other clubs don't, but they wanted us to come in to help their players. There was a problem within the dressing room. One of the senior players had addressed it, and someone within the club was trying to fix it, and they couldn't. That's when they reached out to us to say, come and do work. And the problem's been resolved now. But I just feel as if, I don't know, football's a short career. They should have a.
I would say so, simply because you've seen, how many stories have you seen with players who go from X amount, 5 times, 10 times the money, and then they go a little bit wild off the rails because they've never seen that type of money. So if there's a little bit of education around that, then they
I think it depends. So if you've got you sign for a club, 2-year deal, perhaps it is slightly different. But then players sort of coming from up through Liverpool, up through Everton, when they get to a certain level of salary, it's like someone surely needs to educate at that point. That's where the duty, if they've come through the academy and been at that club for years, when they leave, because the salary drops.
But then that's when I think the agent needs to help them, and that's when you're talking about having a relationship with the agent, because then the agent will pass them on to you then. So even though it's the agent helping them, it's not. The agent just passing the players on to you, who will then help them.
Well, the agent has a duty of care, because like you know, you get close to your agent, don't you? And whatever your agent sort of genuinely says, you sort of you're going to go with. So that's why I think they hold some sort of responsibility to make sure that the players' tax affairs and financial affairs are in order. So what we've done is we've not partnered up, but offered like an outsourced accountancy department. These agents don't. All agents don't. They're not accountants, are they? They're not financial planners. So we just want to offer a service where there's someone that is niche in the game that understands that. So they're not trying to give advice that they don't really understand. They're trying to help a player, but actually could be making the scenario worse. Yeah. So let us just deal with it. And if there's a problem, we'll come back and tell the agent, well, your player's got a problem. Together we'll deal with it. But these small things that agents are trying to deal with, we could deal with day in, day out. But the player listens to the agent, who should just be in theory saying to us, can you deal with that for me?
Yeah, because the agents aren't qualified to help in that sense.
Well, I wouldn't know how to be a football agent.
That's it.
So I'm not trying to be a footballer. Let them.
It's just building a relationship
with the right people
with them, and then.
Well, I always say a player always needs a good circle of people around them. Good agent, good accountant, and a good financial planner.
That's what Proctor's trying to do now, basically.
Yeah.
The HP individuals, like getting a big circle of things and putting it into one.
Yeah. You know what the football changing with the football world's like? Everybody knows it's a small environment, and I think people within football do look after each other. So I've never actually, I've played with you, it was a 15, 16, but if you were to pick up the phone to me and ask for a contact for someone, I'd just give it to you. And I think it works if you've been in that football world, it's just like everyone looks after each other within the world, within the football world. But that's how it sort of developed. It's just word of mouth, and one of the messages I always say to our team is just keep doing the right thing. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. and it is starting to sort of prove a dividend now because players and people within this industry are backing us, if you like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because you said before about football being a small world and everyone does talk and change rooms are small. If that does change and one of your staff does do something wrong, it'll just get round. So, like you said, just making sure everyone just does the right stuff all the time.
Within this industry, mate, we see work from other accountants
and find crooks.
Yeah, we see people where they're hiding tax bills, doing things to people's tax codes. We genuinely I keep saying, do the right thing, because like you've just said, equally, if you're doing the right thing, the word spreads and it changes. But if you do get caught out and
it'll spread quicker.
Yeah, it spreads quicker. So I always say, even down to what everything within our process is designed for a footballer, the main one for me is our fee structure.
Yeah.
A lot of companies who do this line of work charge a percentage, and it just incentivizes bad work, missing a P11D, creating big. We see players who've got a 10 grand refund before they start the tax return. The company saves them $1,000, but charges 25% of 11 grand. So their fee, call it 2.5 grand, but they've only saved them $1,000.
Yeah.
We charge a flat fee. So if there is any mistake or any error, which happens, what we can't be accused of is not genuinely wanting the right thing for our players. And I think if we make a mistake, there's no accusation of doing the right thing, and we want to help you.
What fee do you charge?
We charge a flat fee for a self-assessment of 264.
Yeah.
If it becomes more complicated, normally earn over 100,000 a year, 510.
Yeah.
But it's not so much about the flat fee; it's just being transparent around the fee. If you come to me and you've got income abroad, limited company, pension contributions, it's just based on time, not based on how much I can save you, because that's not what it's all about for me. I'd want you to recognise when your affairs aren't right. I'd want you to. We work with 5,000 players, and one of the things I say to the player is, if you don't understand, tell me now, because my team can't monitor 5,000 players. How we've structured this business is, if you understand your affairs, you'll ring me and tell me there's a problem. But yeah,
that's unbelievable. Like you've just said, you work with 5,000 players. So it's unbelievable.
But I think it's just sort of people like, if we're working with as I said, football is a tight changing room, and there's that brown envelope comes. You walk in the change and you tell the people in your car school with.
I'm fucking shit myself to go home in a minute and check me out.
To be honest with you, no, I think what you're doing is admirable, because if you think about the player who's left that Leicester was in Premier League.
Yeah.
So not only are they having to deal with coming out the Premier League to League One or League Two. No, it's the mental implications of it, isn't it? You obviously it must affect it. I've dropped down. It does affect you, doesn't it? So having to deal with that and then also deal with the bill that's going to maybe potentially make you sell your house must be.
But I wasn't obviously at Leicester, but that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So went from earning relatively good money, signed for Tranmere on a lesser deal, tax bill, and it was all relative.
Yeah.
And as I said, I've sat in that player's shoes and experienced it. So genuinely don't want it to happen to anyone. And we've just discussed a tax bill before isn't the world's worst thing. It could mean that you've earned a lot more money. Dealt with the Premier League player this week, large tax bill. And it was like, when I say music to him, he went obviously happy, but he understood, because we've worked with him for that long, that because his salary's increased so much, he was expecting it.
Yeah.
He's put money aside, and that's like, I can see like my business structure working within my team now. I come onto a call being prepared for me. My team had basically spoke to this player over the last 18 months, so that when we got to this point, tax bill was over 100,000 a year for the year, and he knew it was there. And I was like, so it's working now. But it's just going to take time. It's going to take time. There's sort of players that have had bad experience. We have to fix their problem, educate them. And don't get me wrong, certain players don't want to listen. Certain players don't. I'm not going to waste their time or waste my time. I genuinely only want to work with the players who engage with me, because it doesn't work otherwise. They have to engage with me.
Andrew's big on property. So when you were saying before about like players investing and planning for the future and all that, what would your thoughts be on like property for footballers?
So providing it's structured right. Property is like a buzzword in football for me. I've said it to me. Obviously, high salary. You want to create cash flow for when you finish, but it's just got to be structured right, and the player needs to understand tax on the property, taking money out of a company, selling a property, all these tax implications, and actually understand how to structure it for when they stop playing. For me, I don't know if you'll disagree, property can be risky in terms of if you can't sell the property, you can't actually get your hands on
So
the
it's
money. So if
liability.
no, not so much that. If you've got a property and a player stops, so let's say I got my ACL at 31. I'd have to sell that house, if you haven't created enough cash flow within that business, you'd have to sell one of the properties, then pay tax on it to actually get your hands on the money within the property. I always feel that property is a great thing, providing you've got enough money in the bank, you've got some basics like a nice pension setup. So do it alongside some of the more straightforward things. I like as I keep talking about, if players are educated at young enough, they should do a lot of both. Have your savings account, have your high interest saving account, have your pension, have your ISA, have your property, which creates cash flow, but don't have your eggs all in one basket, and equally don't have them all in this basket either. You need a combination of the two. So when you finish, whether it's property or coaching, whatever it is, you just have a combination of the two, I think.
You want to do something on the property, the football?
Yeah, I think, I guess it depends on the strategy as well. Obviously, you'll know the way people structure investing in property.
Yeah.
I think it's all relative, as you said before. Depends on the amount of disposable income that player may have,
it depends on the player.
Yeah, exactly. And then how heavily do you want to invest in certain things as well. So I think property, as you say before, is a bit of a buzzword because people in football may have seen other footballers do well out of it.
I think players think that it's completely hands off.
Yeah, well, it is if you use certain people or whatever. You know, as you say, obviously there's people out there doing things for players who are still playing and investing for them.
Yeah,
that's what we do, similar to what other companies who are out there. But
so you help them sort of take care of everything.
Yeah. Obviously, we've got the infrastructure with the building and everything like that. So
we just see players come over to us and they don't understand how to sort of from an accountancy point of view. So we had a player not long ago playing League One, business limited company, property's been purchased through limited company, fine, but the rental income's going through limited company, and he's taking earns over 150,000 a year, taking the profits out the company and putting into his personal account, and it's just sort of sat there. So when you do a self-assessment, you've got to declare them.
So that'll be 45 or 50%.
Well, it's 38% dividend on that, but really what he probably should have been doing is looking to leave the money in the company until he stops playing, or buy another property, buy your next one, so that no corporation tax bill. But if you want to take the money out, fine. But I keep talking about educating. We try so hard to get players to understand it, that the business works for them.
Yeah.
Whilst you're actually earning 150,000 a year PAYE, shouldn't really be taking money out of your company.
Yeah.
But
you'd like to think that they probably should be in a position where they don't need to.
They should. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That money should be planned for life after playing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not to kind of
to live off.
Yeah, to do your lifestyle.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. I think you touched before about Macclesfield being kind of one of your favourite seasons. Tell us a little bit about why that was, and also maybe one of your football memories, your best football memories made there, or was it?
Do you know what, Macclesfield? Like, I don't know. It was local. The changing room was good. I always think that makes a good season if your changing room's good. The players that you're playing with, we all got on. It was a really tight knit group of players. The FA Cup was always like non-league. It was always made your season, and we had an FA Cup run that year. I think we beat Swindon away the first round. Then we beat Cardiff, who were in the Premier League. At that point, we beat Cardiff at home, and then we drew it with Wigan the year they went on to win it. So I just sort of remember, and I was part of the team that was playing week in, week out. I just think, I don't know, just like the players that you were playing with, you'll just automatically click with them.
Yeah.
One of the things that people will say is you've got like a telepathy, is it the word I'm looking for?
Never heard that one before.
So like, where do you know what the next guy's going to do?
It might be one of your clever words.
Yeah, so you know where people are going to be, and I just felt like that year, the team gel. We actually did really well that year, but as I said, it was local. One of the main things for me was like having your family there watching games, where when you're 3-4 hours away, it doesn't really happen. A lot of my family would be a lot of the games.
So would you say one of your best football moments was in that season, or have you got other memories that stand out to you?
Probably one of my best games was Wigan at home. Wigan at home on the telly. I can't remember the end score, to be honest with you, but we ended up drawing the game with Wigan, and it's just that, you know, one of them games, everything you touch just goes right for you. The fullback that you're playing against, I think it was a figure hour.
Yeah.
He was coming towards the end of his career, sort of a little bit older, probably thinking last thing I need is a pacey.
He was rapid like that.
Yeah. So it just suited me down to the ground. And as I said, the club actually meant a lot to me, to be honest with you. I just enjoyed being there, mate. And as I said, like I said right at the start, I think potentially if I'd have had something more structured planned for after playing, I know I was one that did have something planned, I potentially would have just stayed there for my full career, to be honest.
Really.
And what do you miss the most? I know you said before you don't miss it, but there'll be certain things that you miss about football. What is it?
I think it's just dead simple. I think a goal. I don't
Scoring a goal.
Yeah, I just don't think you can replicate that.
The feeling.
The changes, mate. That Maxfield changes. I'd love to be back in that environment again and see. Like, I don't know. I probably didn't embrace it as much as probably should have, but that feeling sort of when you've scored and you can hear the crowd and the sort of hairs on the back of your neck stand up. I just don't think you can replace that.
You can't. This is the best feeling in the world.
I don't think you can.
Unless obviously you've had a baby, and that'll probably be a topper. But yeah, for me, scoring a goal is the best feeling.
No, it's Regan mentioned it the other day. Then he said you just can't replace it. You can't replicate it. You can't.
That stress, that stress, the bit you made stress. That's not stress when you're running back. You can hear like the chairs hitting the jump. You can hear the standing up, and you can hear the chair. Just I don't know. It's like a buzz, isn't it?
You know what's funny? I've played with a lot of strikers, and every striker has a sound that they resonate with. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I always remember a player I played with. He loved the sound of the ball hitting the back of the net. It must be a striker thing.
I don't think we're similar, but like we were always like front foot wingers.
Just direct,
direct, yeah. I can, and I do it at Anfield now. So Salah gets. I'm not comparing myself to Salah, by the way, but everyone stands up. Everyone stands when Salah gets it on the wide right. That's what I used to hear. The sound, like the sound, the cheer it, and as fans stand up, the cheer it.
That's nice.
But as I said, I don't think you can. Tuesday night games, pitch is wet. Yeah. And I just don't think you can't replace it. But as I said, I'm happy I've got this now, and it has fulfilled, and I've got something to grab onto. But unfortunately,
and you should be proud. You should be proud. It's unbelievable what you've done.
Well, we are proud, and we've got family working for us. And just to give back to the game a little bit, football give me my life, if you like. It's going to look after my child, my wife. My brother works here. The other director's brother works here, and as I said, because it's your baby, you're hungry to keep progressing, keep working, and you can see the product of it now. Where big clubs are getting in touch. I know we've talked about the PFA. It's not going to be long until they start coming knocking on our door, saying, right, you can be our go-to company where you'll help with players plan for life after playing and help their tax affairs. But as I said, we are proud, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, before wrapping up then, you just said more work to do. What are the big plans for Kyzen?
I'd like to do more with clubs. The club visits sort of fell upon us. Just to tell you a little bit about it, the Liverpool women's all had a problem with accommodation. They all got a tax bill at the same time, and Matt Beard, who's been great with us, is the manager, asked us to go in, and we were booked in to go to Melwood with them. And we recognised it was an opportunity to work with clubs. So I'd like a lot more of them. Our team. I'd like to have a bigger team. I'm so picky with recruitment. We need football people within our team, essentially.
Fancy it?
I reckon you could do all right.
I'm unbelievable at maths.
You knew what your P11. You know what your P11D was.
You know what? Yeah, he's halfway there.
Ask me a times table.
Ask your times table. 12 times 12.
144.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, go on then. You give him one.
8 8s.
64.
I reckon he's probably better at maths than me.
Within half a second every time. Unbelievable at maths. Don't ask me anymore.
No.
Done.
Not so much at English, but
get me a job, mate. I'll be back.
You're in?
I'm in.
We want footballers. We want footballers. As I keep saying, we can teach you accountancy. We can teach you finance. You can't teach like that personality to get this information over to a footballer. What else? We want to improve our team, and I don't know, our processes are probably something I'd like to improve on.
I think every business is trying to achieve that, though, isn't it? You know, make processes a bit better.
5,000 players, though. There's not many fucking more players left to get.
You'd be surprised. There is.
Yeah. No, listen, the mission that you've got, it's, you know, obviously it's coming from a place of care. Not only, obviously, you want your business to do well, but it's coming from genuine passion as well.
I think that's why it's doing well, because, as I said, we do spend the time with our players. Our service we could do quite quickly, but we actually will be on Zoom calls, invite players to the office. We want them to understand what we're doing to a point where they can focus on their career, but they know they've got someone sort of on their side that they can trust and knows what they're doing.
You're just taking all the stresses away from them off the pitch so they can just focus all on the pitch, basically.
And I keep talking about education. If they understand it, when these people do approach them that genuinely haven't got the best interest at heart, they'll spot it because of sort of some of the things that we've put in place. Financial advisors, financial planners, other accountants, agents who charge at high fees. They should
being capped now, though.
What's that?
The agency fee's being capped now.
I don't
new
know.
rules.
I don't know. It's stopped.
No, new rules coming.
What's the new rule that's come in?
So the agency fees being capped at 3.5%.
Has that actually come in?
Yep.
Because the rule that I was looking out for was they were going to stop the P11D. They were going to get the player to pay the agent fee directly out the wages. So I was in an event about 6 weeks ago with all agents, and the room like cheered at one point because imagine trying to invoice your player for quarterly for your agent fee. It'd be a disaster for their business. So that hasn't come in, but I think it's over 250,000. I think
there's certain figures regarding it, but it's being capped at 3.5% the agency fees,
which is better for the player. Really.
Yeah, better for the player. Yeah, and
it should be. And do you know what, mate? The one thing I'd say is the agency world's becoming more regulated, which I think's right as well. So we talked about agents earlier. I think it should be more regulated because the amount of money that's within football, within agent fees, and within salaries, it should be.
You've got to pass an exam again now.
You've got to pass your exam now.
Is it just footballers, Jack? That you, because obviously this podcast is for athletes transitioning no matter what. But is it just footballers that you?
Do you know what, mate? We deal with rugby players. We do deal with other sports. But
strange guys than rugby players.
Do you know what? Do you know what? They can be easy to deal with.
Oh no, they sound like they're funny. They're just a bit strange.
Yeah, there are. Yeah,
I've been on nights out with the rugby team, mate. They are mad.
Yeah.
Now talk about.
They probably think you're mad.
No, talk about footy banter. The rugby banter is 10 times worse. They're weird, mate.
Yeah, they take it too far.
I
I felt uncomfortable there. Yeah. They'll come in and we've got a fridge, like obviously protein shake, stuff like that. Every rugby player, beer. Have a beer.
Yeah, I'm
kind of like, I want to talk about your tax affairs here, but no, they genuinely are better. But what I was going to say was we do with other sports, but for me, I've got a passion with football because I know football, and if I'm honest, that's my priority.
So where can any footballers, like, so after this show, if they see this, where can they find you?
Our main social media, Instagram, our website, but social media is where we get a lot of our following from. Drop us a message. We've got a social media team who will get you started. Any information you need, we'll go through them.
We put it all in the show notes.
Yeah, Kyzen Sports.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, Jack.
Jack, nice one, lad.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.